On this episode of the Neutral Wisdom podcast, host Robert Shirley discusses manifesting what we believe and is joined by Alien Mike of the Midnight Signal podcast. This is the Neutral Wisdom podcast, a podcast dedicated to passing on knowledge and experience from a satanic perspective, with your host, Robert Shirley.
Greetings and welcome to the Neutral Wisdom Podcast. I'm your host, Robert Shirley, and today we're going to be discussing manifesting what we believe, or the fact that we attract what we put out there. I'll be joined later by the host of the Midnight Signal podcast, Alien Mike, to discuss this and the paranormal. Wait, what? The paranormal? How does that tie into the topic of manifesting what we believe? Well, the idea for this show actually comes from my trip to Zak Bagans Haunted Museum, the details of which I'll get into in today's essay. No need to repeat myself. I enjoyed the museum and its various artifacts on display. I also liked the associated stories that went along with them. But as a Satanist and a skeptic, I really enjoyed watching the reactions of others in my group to things in which I basically don't believe. Now, before I go any further, I should qualify that I do believe in the supernormal. That there are things in the world, and by extension the universe, which we're not meant to understand. As a Satanist, I do not believe in the afterlife or in hauntings as presented by the Haunted Museum. As such, I was able to enjoy the museum on a different level. So anything in the Haunted Museum could have some paranormal activity associated with it. That's not for me to say. But I believe if you buy what the museum is selling, perhaps you'll find that you'll experience a bit more of the paranormal than you normally would. Let's look at that in today's essay titled, "You Have to Have Faith for This to Work." Recently, I traveled to Las Vegas, and amidst the usual vacation activities, I took the RIP tour, a VIP experience, at Zak Bagans Haunted Museum. For those unfamiliar, Zak Bagans is an American paranormal investigator, television personality, and filmmaker, best known for hosting and leading investigations on the TV series Ghost Adventures. The museum itself is home to a vast collection of supposedly haunted and cursed artifacts, including items tied to well-known paranormal cases such as the Dybbuk box and the death van of Dr. Jack Kevorkian. More on those later. While the collection itself is quite interesting, the museum pushes more of a haunted experience on visitors. That is, the tour guides and video displays outline all of the strange goings-on in the building, including people's reactions to the various exhibits. They spare no detail in showing video of people falling unconscious in the Dr. Kevorkian room, or talking about how many nosebleeds have occurred while viewing Peggy the demonic doll. This, in addition to dim lighting, fog machines, different scents in every room, and variable temperatures in the artifact galleries, it's definitely colder in those rooms, is meant to sell fear and apprehension as part of the tour. Visitors are encouraged to think positive thoughts and have the option to decline viewing exhibits if it makes them uncomfortable. It didn't work on me, not because I'm the too cool for school type, but for reasons I'll outline later. As a Satanist with no belief in the afterlife or the supernatural, I'm a natural skeptic. I wanted to visit the museum because, well, I like museums and this one seemed interesting enough. But they lost me almost immediately upon entering the first display room, the Oddities Room. The group's attention was directed to a display case in this room containing 2 golden chalices and a leather-bound satanic Bible used by Anton LaVey, founder of the Church of Satan, for satanic rituals. In fact, we were also told that a real satanic witch named Bloody Mary performed a real satanic ritual right in the evil basement of the museum. Interestingly enough, the information about these artifacts elicited the expected reaction from others in my group. They became a little frightened and agitated in the presence of pure evil. Their words, not mine. Now, I'm not an expert on the Church of Satan by any means, and I don't claim to be. But I don't ever recall seeing Magus LaVey using golden chalices in any ritual, nor do I ever recall seeing a leather-bound satanic Bible in any photos. And I do know for a fact that we, as members of the Church of Satan, certainly do not sacrifice animals or murder people during our rituals. I later contacted the high priestess of the Church of Satan to ask about these artifacts. She debunked those as complete snake oil, other than a second-degree elevation certificate above the display case. As we worked our way through the museum, every artifact was given a backstory. There was a room dedicated to Annalise Michel, on whom the 2005 film The Exorcism of Emily Rose was based. Ed Gein's bodily fluid collection cauldron was on display. Dr. Jack Kevorkian's death van, where he performed assisted suicides for over 300 people, had its own display. We saw the infamous Dybbuk box, the most haunted artifact in the world. We saw Peggy the doll, who causes people to faint and have nosebleeds, among other displays. And every artifact was assigned the moniker of pure evil. We were told ad nauseum that we did not want to take anything home with us from the Haunted Museum, except from the gift shop, of course. With every artifact, backstory, and description of horrors, my skepticism deepened. As a Satanist, I believe that good is what you like and evil is what you don't like. I had no attachment or history with any of the artifacts on display. To me, they were just things, displays like in any other museum. While the people in my group became more unnerved by the tour experience, I took that as my opportunity to get up close and personal with the artifacts. And so, every time my RIP pass allowed me to access a part of the museum not available to general admission visitors, I was the first in line. I stared into Bela Lugosi's haunted scrying mirror. I touched Ed Gein's cauldron. I got within inches of the infamous devil chair. I rang the Houdini seance bell. I went down to the basement where all of the satanic sacrifices allegedly took place. I even looked Peggy the doll in the eyes and asked her a question, to which she answered me directly via her spirit box. And so far I'm still here. No paranormal activity, no portals to hell in my basement, although I will be sure to keep you updated if one of those things occurs. I did, however, suffer the horrendous misfortune of the aforementioned gift shop, which, with currency exchange and tariffs, cost me over $150 in souvenirs. At this point, I should also mention, even though I don't necessarily believe in the hauntings of the Haunted Museum, that's not to say I didn't respect it. Regardless of where one stands on the supernatural and ghost activity, the majority of the displays involve the loss of human life to some extent. As such, I was very respectful of the displays and the history behind them. Plus, one can never be completely sure of anything, can they? So if the ritual of a certain display was to greet and bid farewell to Peggy the doll, I did so. If tradition said you leave a small tribute to the Dybbuk box to make peace with it, I did that as well. After all, when in another's lair, show him respect or else do not go there. The title of this essay comes from 1985 vampire classic film Fright Night. One of the film's protagonists, Peter Vincent, brandishes a crucifix at vampire Jerry Dandridge, crying, "Back, spawn of Satan!" Dandridge grabs the cross, crushes it, and throws it aside, telling Vincent, "You have to have faith for this to work on me." This quote came to me quite a few times while I was visiting the Haunted Museum, simply as a result of all the horror stories we were being told about the artifacts. Stories of how Zak Bagans was adversely affected by the artifacts he acquired. Videos of singer Post Malone being frightened by Bagans' reaction to the Dybbuk box. The story of a woman having a heart attack after seeing Peggy the doll. But the more stories the tour guides told, the more videos we watched, the more I realized that Zak Bagans is a showman, an entertainer. He wants visitors to be unnerved. He wants them to feel scared. He wants them to feel like these terrible things could really occur. Add these emotions to a total immersion experience with mood lighting, scent, and fog, and you have the perfect marketing tool, word of mouth. I didn't buy any of what they were selling, so of course nothing bad happened to me after I left. But it got me to thinking that maybe we manifest our own fortune and misfortune by what we're putting out into the world. For example, if you believe something bad will happen to you after you leave the Haunted Museum, it most likely will. Not necessarily by happenstance, but more because you're subconsciously applying the filter of expecting misfortune to befall you. Through that filter, anything from missing the bus to not being able to keep your shoelaces tied is a horrible omen. But if, like me, you don't buy into the pure evil nonsense, then life continues as normal. Shit happens, good or bad, like missing the bus or not being able to keep your shoelaces tied. Our mindset shapes our experiences. I had a great time at the Haunted Museum because I was at a museum looking at cool stuff. The people who were scared shitless, not so much. But we were all experiencing the same tour. It's what we put into it that shaped what we got out of it. The Satanist realizes that lesser magic is influencing our environment to achieve our desired goals. By that token, then, is Zak Bagans a lesser magician? Well, I would say he is, whether he realizes it or not. He creates an immersive environment, then elicits an emotional response based on inputs from his presentation. He provides an experience by exploiting our primal emotions of fear and wonder. He then uses all of these elements combined to sell merchandise and create free advertising for his business. Sounds a lot like lesser magic to me. If we look at the example provided by Zak Bagans Haunted Museum, there's a lot we can take away from it in terms of our own lesser magic. But first and foremost is the importance of belief in your own skills and abilities. We manifest what we believe, so you have the same power in you that Zak Bagans does through his business. And if he can do it with a house full of old dolls and wooden boxes, so can you. Just not on me, though. Been there, done that, got the t-shirt. It was part of the RIP package. Let's pause here. When we come back, we're joined by the host of the Midnight Signal podcast, Alien Mike, to discuss this and the paranormal. Stay tuned.
You are listening to the Neutral Wisdom podcast. For comments, questions or suggestions, email us at information@neutralwisdom.ca. New from author Robert Shirley, Hell Has Windows is a second collection of essays by the host of the Neutral Wisdom podcast and author of the award-winning Neutral Wisdom, Contemplations of a Satanic Warlock. Hell Has Windows is an exploration of Satanism from the perspective of a seasoned practitioner, providing a nuanced understanding of satanic philosophy by breaking down some of the key concepts often misunderstood or misrepresented in popular culture. Shirley further explores the development of the Satanist into their most authentic self by emphasizing individuality and personal strength without relying on societal or religious norms. Do you have what it takes to look out your windows? Or for that matter, are you able to get through those windows to a better you, the self that you create? Remember, no matter how bad you think it is, no matter how stuck you feel, Hell Has Windows. Available October 10th, 2025 on Amazon.
And we're back with the Neutral Wisdom podcast. And I'd like to welcome our special guest for today, a professional photographer, outdoor enthusiast, host of Skogan and Outdoors podcast, and the Midnight Signal, a podcast on the paranormal, UFOs, cryptids, and anything that goes bump in the night. And for the record, we will not be discussing his huge brass balls. Goddamn Swiss. Welcome, Alien Mike, to the Neutral Wisdom podcast.
How's it going, man? Excited to be here.
That's good. A little bit of technical difficulties to get going, but we'll work our way through it as best as we can. And yeah, it just as a shout out to our Swiss friend, and I know how much that upsets him when I call him Swiss.
Oh, yeah.
Good evening, Carl Svensson. I hope that you're listening out there somewhere. And that is the one and only time we'll be talking about Alien Mike's equipment on this program.
For now. We'll see what happens at the end.
Oh, great. Okay. So what brings you to the show, my friend? I'm really happy to have you here. And I got to say, when I went on my trip and I went to this crazy museum, you were the first guy I thought about because of the show that you do with Sergeant Shenanigator. Yep. If I got that right. It's not Shenanigans. Yep. Shenanigator.
Shenanigator. Yep,
yeah,
Steve.
Because I call shenanigans. Yeah, all the time, actually. So I'm looking forward to some good conversation about basically things that go bump in the night and the quote-unquote experience that I had at Zak Bagans Haunted Museum. But before we get started, just for our audience, if you could tell us a little bit about yourself, your background, how you came to this thing of ours, things like that. I know we do this on every show, but it always helps to establish a little bit of a baseline first. So whenever you're ready, fire away.
Yeah, so I originally grew up in Georgia, southern Georgia. I moved to Utah when I was about 8 or 9, I think. My parents are very, very Mormon. I grew up in the Mormon church, never liked it. There was always something that just seemed off about it to me. And after high school, one of my buddies handed me the Satanic Bible and said, "Here, read this." And it's a guy I talk to every day still. I hang out with every week still. And it just kind of threw me off. Like most people, I think that are shown the Bible, they kind of go, "Wait a minute," because they get a bad impression of it from society. And he goes, "Before you say anything, just read it." I said, "All right, it's a book. I'll read a book, not a problem." Read it and everything clicked and went, well, this is exactly how I've been living my life already. Everything made sense. That was kind of it for that time. And I just kind of lived my life and did my thing up until about 2019, I believe is when I joined the church. The rest is history from there. As far as the paranormal, ghosts, anything like that, I've been into that for so many years. I mean, I can't even tell you how long. And one day decided, you know what, I need to do a podcast on this, and find somebody that is as interested in it as I am. And that's where I found Steve. I mean, I've known Steve for a while, but we both kind of said, this is what we're doing.
I'm going to come to the podcast in a second, but Mormon was the last thing I expected. So were your parents
Yep.
upset that there would be no elder alien Mike in their future?
Oh, they always knew that I was different, that I didn't really align with it. I never told them that I was a Satanist until probably 5 years ago, 4 or 5 years ago. I'd already joined, and my mom, who was a convert to the LDS church, she was not happy at all. And my dad, he just kind of, to be honest, I've never heard one single thing come out of his mouth about it. He has never said anything to me. He just says, "All right, as long as you're happy, who am I to tell you what to do?"
Oh, so
And
I thought it was
yeah,
expected that all you
yeah,
guys were supposed to become elders,
yeah. We are. I mean, in the church, you're supposed to go on a mission, become an elder, do all these different things in the church. And I never did those things growing up, and my parents were disappointed. They wanted me to do those things, but I didn't. And they never really said anything about it other than, "Oh, we wish you would go to church," or "We wish you would do this, that, or the other involved with it." And I never did. And they just kind of stopped asking me about it. I was quite surprised because I expected them to push a lot harder than they did.
Okay, so and now in Utah, and of course, we all love to tease you. I love to tease you as Magister Frost's biggest customer and biggest shill for Satan me. Are you an out Satanist in Utah? Do you wear your Baphomet out? And is it tough being one of us in a heavy, heavy Mormon community like that?
Honestly, at first it was a little tough. At first I kept it hidden, but that was literally for maybe a week. And then I said, I really don't give a shit. And I am putting it out there. If you don't like it, I really don't care. And so now I've had no bad interactions with it, to be honest. I had a sticker on one of our cars, and my wife was driving it, and someone threw like a soda bottle at it while she was driving. That was it. And so I took it off just because she drove the car the majority of the time. Other than that, there hasn't been a single problem. I've got them on my car. Nobody says or does anything about it. I expected it to be really bad, really hostile, but nothing.
Yeah, we know a few Mormons in the area where we live, and they do not like us at all. Like, I guess I could say that for
Most,
most people. It's a mutual thing. But
yep.
yeah, I would just thought maybe if you were in a community of them, it would be a little bit heavier. But it's good to know that you're able to pretty much be yourself.
Yeah, it's been nice. I mean, my whole street is basically filled with Mormons, and a few houses up is the bishop of the church that's closest to us, has known my wife for years, and the missionaries will still try to come to my house or they'll try to talk to him about me. And he goes, "No, he's a member of the Church of Satan. Leave him alone. If anybody's talking to him, I will. Leave him alone." They kind of shield everybody from me because they know I'll tell you once that I'm not interested. And I'll tell you nicely, I'm not interested. I don't want anything to do with it. I've played that game and it wasn't for me.
It's a great deflector. We've
Yeah.
had different missionaries, Mormons, Jehovah's Witnesses come to the door. And as soon as you tell them, no, I'm sorry, we're members of the Church of Satan in this house, the reaction's kind of, oh, well, you have a great day then. No, no, come back. I'd like to talk to
Yeah.
you more about.
Yeah, let me tell you about what I believe.
That's
Yeah,
right.
that's pretty much the reaction I get. The last time I had any interaction with the missionaries, they asked what I believed, and I said, "Look, I grew up Mormon. Now I'm a member of the Church of Satan." Oh, really? Well, what is that? Tell me about it. Okay, so I'd explain it to them, and they're like, "Are you happy?" Well, yeah, I wouldn't be doing it if I wasn't happy. Okay, that's all that matters. If you'd like to talk to us, you can. And they walked away, and I went, "Huh, all right,
There's a
yeah,
lesson in deflecting proselytization. Thank you very much,
yep."
Ellie and Mike. That's great. That's great
Yep.
advice.
See you later. Yeah, they were really cool about it. And usually I don't want to say anxious, but when I see them, I'm just like, here we go again. I'm gonna have to deal with more crap. Recently, there hasn't been anything, so I've been pretty lucky, or
Well,
they
that's
have.
well, exactly. But you've been keeping busy in other ways, and now we can
Yep.
move on to the podcast thing. And before we get into the Midnight Signal, I want to talk about the Skogan podcast. Wow, that's an international show. It's actually
Yes.
really cool to listen to just
Well,
for
thank you.
the different perspectives on two sides of the big water. You know what I mean? So,
Yep.
yeah, what's going on with the Skogan podcast?
So that was the first thing I had ever wanted to do was an outdoor, survival camping, hiking, prepping, anything like that. And I talked to my best friend here, would never do it. We do all the same things together. We love the outdoors, but he just was never interested in doing that, no matter how many times I asked. I talked to Carl and somebody I talk to every single there's not a day that goes by that I don't talk to him. And I was like, "Hey, I'm going to be doing this. Would you be interested?" And he said yes. I was surprised because one, the time difference, it's an 8-hour time difference, so it was tricky to line it all up. But when he said yes, we started planning it and we've put out today we recorded the third episode. So we talk about everything from, hiking and camping, what our favorite gear is, our experiences we've had, in the outdoors, what types of things we like to do, where we've been, all sorts of things that revolve around that.
I've given him so many ideas for your show already. I would
Yep.
love to hear you guys talk about the TV survival shows or gear that you've owned that was the absolute shits, like the Rambo knife that I had that had a survival kit in it with the saw that always broke and the
Yep.
blade that was attached by a nut. Just
Yep.
different show ideas. So I'm hoping to hear some of those shows.
Yep.
I'm already a
Well,
fan, so.
Well, I appreciate it. I know he does, and now I know where he got that idea because he texted me one day and he goes, "Have you ever spent money on something and you just went, what the fuck did I do?" And I went, "Yeah, a lot." So now I know where that idea came from, and that's great because that's something we're putting in the works right now.
I will send you a bill,
Yeah,
or I'll look for
there
my
you
royalty payments at least.
go. There you go.
Make sure you talk about the Rambo knife, and we're good.
Yep.
Now about the midnight signal. So you and Steve, Sergeant
Mhm.
Shenanigator, you're talking about all kinds of crazy stuff. Yeah, how did that come about,
Yeah.
and where are you guys now in terms of production? I know it's still fairly new.
That was something I had wanted to do for quite a long time. And he had messaged me one day and was saying, I think we were just shooting the breeze, talking about things. And he said, I'm in the middle of putting together an idea for a podcast on UFOs and stuff. I said, well, that's awesome because I've been doing the same thing. And he said, well, why don't we just combine it? We are roughly 3.5 months in, 4 months in, maybe. We do a show every single week, which I absolutely love. It is hard. It's definitely hard, because it's not just, hey, we're just going to come on and randomly talk about something for the week. It's, I'm sure you know, all the planning, all the research, all the everything that goes into it. So it takes a lot of time, but it's well worth it. We talk about everything from cryptids to UFOs and aliens to, anything ghost related. We've had Madame Ophelia on, which I've talked to you about her. Carl was on, and we have a few more. I think Dawn is coming on tomorrow, Madame Ophelia. So we talk about everything but nothing in particular, if that makes sense. So each week we just say, okay, let's talk about this particular case, and that's what we do.
Okay, so does the
So
fact
it's
that you're a member of the Church of Satan, does that ever factor into any of your shows, or this is just a completely secular type of program?
no, it doesn't really factor in because his wife is actually a member. They're around it all the time as well. I am too. To be honest, I was a little hesitant because I've got my flags that are behind me. I wanted to leave it more secular so it didn't turn off anybody because it wasn't a show about religion or beliefs. But he just said flat out, I really don't care. Leave it
Mhm.
up. Don't take anything down. If you want to talk about it, talk about it. It just hasn't come up yet.
Well, and I mean, that's the thing with our show here that I'm doing. It's, I want to talk to Satanists, but we very rarely
Yeah,
talk shop because that's
right.
not all we're about. But the interesting thing that I find is that you're talking about supernatural, supernormal, paranormal, things like that. And
Yep.
you're a Satanist, my friend. So do you actually believe in the supernatural, the paranormal? For now, let's keep the aliens and Bigfoot out of this. But if I don't talk about it with you later, Ms. Wiz will kill me. So let's just stick to the supernatural or paranormal right now. As a Satanist, are you a believer?
So that was honestly the tricky question to answer. Do I believe things happen? Yes. As you know, I don't believe in like an afterlife. So when you throw all the ghosts and paranormal, it gets really hard to answer. I've had experiences that I cannot explain, that things that have happened before I was a member and after and while I have been a Satanist, all through my life I've had stuff happen that I can't explain. I don't know exactly what it is. So the natural go-to, I think, for people is okay, that was something paranormal, if that makes sense. I believe that we are all energy, and energy has to go somewhere when we die. And so that can be what's causing these things to happen, if that makes sense. Honestly, I'd probably have to say yes, I do, to be
Okay.
honest.
Okay. So
Um,
you mentioned that it's energy. So how do you reconcile all this together? Say, like, this energy is coming from somewhere. Is that supernatural, or, as we're more likely to say, supernormal, do you think?
the whole supernatural, super normal thing initially kind of boggled my mind. I didn't really understand it in the beginning. Now, though, as time's gone on, I would probably say super normal. As I thought about this question, for the last couple of weeks, I just kept coming back to, everything is full of energy. We die, it has to go somewhere out. We don't believe in the afterlife. It doesn't just dissipate into absolutely nothing. But I don't think really there are ghosts running around haunting people. I don't know. It's hard to explain.
But
Um,
you have mediums on your show, right? So, and I've
yeah,
had
we do.
experience with mediums as well who believe that they're contacting the afterlife or spirit or whatever they call it. And great. I mean, if that's
Yeah.
what they believe, that is fantastic for them. I'm happy for them. We don't have that going on.
Mm-mm.
So, I've heard all kinds of crazy theories like we're all parts of one big consciousness, and when we're gone, we go back to this one unified consciousness. You and I believe that it's nothing, that life is a
Right.
vacation from the nothing we came from. It's so odd to me that you, as a Satanist, are talking about these things,
Right.
but not as a natural skeptic as that most of us are. You actually find some validity to this.
Yeah, and I think that's what a lot of members or Satanists that I've talked to, they are thrown off by because I don't know exactly what it is. I say paranormal or supernormal just because that's kind of what everybody says, when these weird things happen. But I come back to, I know things that have happened to me and friends or in the vicinity of me that I cannot explain. Like there's absolutely no explanation for why it would happen. And so it was just kind of the go-to to say, okay, well, that was something supernatural or super normal. I mean, I don't, as you know, I mean, of course, I don't believe in the afterlife. This is it, but I really don't have an explanation as for why these certain things have happened.
Well, let's get into some specifics if you're willing to talk
Yeah.
about them. What
Yeah.
specific paranormal or supernatural experiences have you had?
So the first one was in 2000, had to be about 2008. I was really into the whole ghost hunting shows and stuff with the buddy. And so we're like, hey, let's go out and see what this is about. We'll try it out and see if anything happens. And we had gone to, of course, a cemetery, the biggest cemetery there is here. And we were with another buddy who was interested in learning about this kind of stuff. We said, okay, well, this is what we do. This is how we kind of perform the EVP or whatever it is we're doing at the time. And he says, okay, well, that's cool. Do you mind if I try? We say, okay. He walks literally, 15, 20 feet away from us. He's still in light, like there's a lamp there. And me and my one friend are talking, and we can hear this guy, 15 feet away talking as well. And we're watching him the whole time. And all of a sudden he starts screaming, and we're like, okay, what the hell is going on? And he walks over to us, and he's got a huge handprint across the side of his face. We've been watching him the whole time. He didn't smack himself. So it's things like that. We're like, okay, well, what the hell happened? How do you explain that? And that was like the big one for me, because most people would logically say, okay, well, he just smacked himself just to get a reaction, or, to see what people would say. But we're watching him the whole time, and we see that it doesn't happen. There's nobody else around us. We see that we didn't touch him. Nobody else touched him. He didn't touch himself. What happened? That was kind of the catalyst for it all. Like, okay, well, I can't explain it, but something happened.
Is that the only indicator that you had that anything was off about that night, or did you notice any other differences in the air or kind of thing?
No, that was the only thing that night, for that one experience. I mean, it was like any other normal night. We're like, okay, well, we're bored. Let's go out here. Let's just see what's going on. And we drove out to the cemetery, walked around for a little bit, sat down and started talking, and everything was fine. And then that happened. And I never knew what he believed, but his initial reaction after we took a picture and said, dude, look, this is what we see. And he said, I'm absolutely done. I don't know what it was. And he made us take him home. We talked about it maybe once or twice after that and tried to figure out if there was something we didn't catch, that could have caused this to happen. And so that was really what got me interested in it. But I always kind of question everything, and I fall back on, well, how do I explain this? Because I was just never able to. I was never able to explain it.
Well, one incident does not a believer make. Do you have any other examples of
No, yeah,
this type of phenomena?
this was actually a little bit before then. I went camping with a buddy, and in the middle of absolutely nowhere, we set up the tent, do our thing for the night. We decide to go to bed, and we start hearing people run around the tent. Long story short, we hear them far away. We get out, look, nobody's there. They're closer, closer, closer. As the night goes on, they start getting closer to where they're hitting the tent. Logically, I'm thinking, okay, some asshole is outside messing with us, but there's nobody around. I mean, ended up driving around for hours trying to find people. Nobody was out there. There was no footprints. There was no indication that anybody was there at all. At the end, we're like, okay, what the hell is going on? It kind of died off, and then we left. That was another one that I've talked about a little bit, tried to figure out what it was, because I look at everything, or try to look at everything logically. Like, okay, if somebody's running around the dirt by my tent, you're going to see some indication. The bushes are messed up. There's footprints in the dirt. There's something. And there was nothing. Do I think that was paranormal, supernormal? Not necessarily, because that was all I had to go on, was just the hearing everything and then not seeing anything. But it made me start thinking about this stuff a lot more and become more interested in it.
Do you think that there's any validity in the ghost hunting shows that you used to be such a fan of? We've tried to watch them and they seem scripted and put on, and I'm sure there's validity in the equipment that they're using and what have you, but I mean, like most reality shows, I'm sure a lot of it is put on for the camera.
I personally think those are bullshit. Even when I was a fan of watching them in the beginning, I knew they were full of shit. 99.9% of the stuff they were doing, it was just like, okay, you're just trying to get viewers, you're trying to get a scare out of people, but I don't find validity in it. For me, a lot of it is, you can tell me you've had an experience with something, and I'm going to say, okay, well, I didn't, so I can't believe in that, because I wasn't a part of it. I don't know exactly what happened. I wasn't there. So I mean, I only know what's happened to me, the weird things that happened to me that caused me to become interested in it, and know that weird shit does happen.
Mm-hmm.
But the explanation for it, that's where I get hung up on.
We're on the TV shows, and I, of course, have mentioned Zak Bagans. So did you ever watch
Yep.
his program?
I've seen it, and honestly, the guy annoyed the hell out of me. I did not like him at all. I've watched it, and I won't watch it again. It's not my thing.
He's very dramatic. And as I kind of came up in the essay, halfway through the tour, I realized this dude's an entertainer.
Yep.
He might go out and spend millions of dollars on weird shit, but it's all towards a certain end. And he
Yeah.
wants you to feel the things that you're feeling. Have you
hmm
been at all to this haunted museum in Las Vegas?
No, I honestly didn't even know about it until you said something.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
Okay.
I had no clue.
It's an experience. I mean, now I'm giving you the skeptical, jaded
Uh-huh.
viewpoint of it. It's a museum with a lot of cool shit in it. I mean, if for some reason you wanted to see the shovel that Ed Gein used to exhume the bodies that he made suits out of, or wanted to see the cauldron where he drained their fluids, or
hmm
wanted to see Kevorkian's death van, I mean, it's a museum first and foremost. I mentioned in the essay that Baggins is selling an experience. And I describe my experiences in there. And it's a cool place. But I mean, I wasn't worried about being haunted in a place like that because, as a Satanist, I say good is what I like and evil is what I don't like. Now,
Right.
every single artifact we were shown was the essence of pure evil.
Mm.
And I went, what a crock of shit. I mean,
Yep.
this stuff didn't do anything to me, right?
hmm
And now, again, as I mentioned also in the essay, even though I don't really believe it, I didn't not respect it because there was a loss of human life. If you're looking at a
Right.
van where there were 300 assisted suicides, people died in there. It should be treated with some amount of respect. It's what he was trying to sell. And I believe this is where the manifesting what we believe kind of comes into play. And I really saw that in the group I was with. So the rubes, as I call them. Do you think that, if they're buying 100% what he's selling, do you think that they're manifesting their own bad luck in a place like that?
I think the majority of those people, they 100% buy into it and believe everything and scare themselves.
Yeah, oh, for sure.
Um,
For sure.
I think, yeah, you can get what you put out into it. If you think it's going to bring you bad luck or it's going to cause you harm, I mean, yeah, I'm with you. I think a lot of it is really, really cool stuff. I wouldn't be scared by any of it. I would, like you said, I would treat it with respect, because there was that loss of life, because horrible shit happened or supposedly happened with these things. I don't know. I wouldn't be bothered by it. I would probably be in the same boat as you, looking around and going, okay, well, you're just scaring yourself.
Mhm.
You're bringing it all onto yourself. It's
It's the way they
the story
sold
that
it.
you're hearing.
I mean,
hmm
walking into that front room and seeing a display case and looking into it, and there's a picture of Magus LeVay. There's a leather bound satanic Bible. I've never seen anything like it. Two gold cups. And above this whole display was a second level elevation certificate. And the way that they're selling it, is these are instruments used by Anton LaVey, founder of the Church of Satan, in satanic rituals. And everybody in the group's kind of going, ooh, that stuff's just evil. I'm like, you guys have no
Yep.
idea. Like, you have no
Yep.
idea. And as I mentioned, I actually contacted Magna Dremia after and said, I never heard any of this stuff. And she said, oh, that's all snake oil. Like
Yep.
she could verify the second level elevation as being the only real thing. But it,
Yeah.
it got worse from there because the basement. Oh, the guides really sell that they don't want to go down there because that's where all the satanic sacrifices took place. It's a dark basement, pretty much, with a
Yep.
pentagram on the floor. The thing that got me the most was I identified myself as a member to the tour guide, kind of
hmm
off to the side. And she says, oh, well, we had a real satanic witch in here doing a ritual in the chamber downstairs. Her name was Bloody Mary. Thinking, well,
Oh my
I know a lot of
god.
satanic witches, and I don't think I've crossed paths with this Bloody Mary. But it's such a show that they're putting
Yep.
together. There's a different smell in every room. The whole place is filled with fog. You go into one of these exhibit rooms and it's cold in there. But it was amazing to watch the people and them basically manifesting their own fear, and the guides all saying, now keep positive thoughts. You have to keep positive thoughts. And if you don't want to go in there, that's totally okay. I'm the first one through the door because I don't care.
Yep.
I mean, it's,
Yeah.
and so it really, the whole thing, being the natural skeptic that I was kind of, well, this is cool stuff, but I don't think I'm going to have a heart attack or a nosebleed from looking at a doll.
I mean, I'll go back to what you said about him initially. I mean, he's a damn good entertainer, good showman, but that's all to me, that's all that stuff would be, is just they're acting just to scare people because people naturally like to be scared. They're bringing people in, they're putting on this huge extravagant show. They know people are going to pay for it. They know they're going to get their money.
The only thing I will admit, and it's the first time I ever admit this to anyone outside of Ms. Wiz, he does have one relic from the Titanic in his museum, and it's the only thing that made me kind of squiggy. Anytime I get around something from the Titanic, I get sick. I cannot explain that. So maybe that's
Really?
my own supernatural phenomenon. Of course, in the Luxor in Las Vegas, they have Titanic, the Artifacts exhibition,
Mm-hmm.
and they have the big piece in there. So they pulled up a huge, massive piece of the ship. Whenever I've been in that room, I've gotten sick. And my wife will tell you, yeah, we gotta, get him out of there quick because I just can't be around that particular artifact. It's really strange.
And I mean, and no explanation for it. You just get sick.
Yep.
You know,
I feel queasy.
no.
I feel lightheaded. Yeah.
And that's kind of where I lie it with what you just said. Okay, well, when I'm around this, I get sick. I have no idea. This is really weird. There's nothing that explains it. The things that I've had happen, it's the same thing. It's like, okay, well, I have no explanation for these things. I don't know why the hell these things would happen in the first place, but it did. It's weird. I wish I could explain it, but I can't. It's the natural go-to. And all I can say is because of society and how everyone is okay, well, if it's weird, you can't explain it. It has to be something supernatural, paranormal, or super normal.
Super normal. Exactly.
Yeah.
Things out there we're just not meant to know the reasons for.
Yeah. And I wish I could wish I could figure out why the hell these things happened or happened the way they did, what caused it. But I know it's not something I'll ever know. But that's kind of what really kicked off the interest. Because even if I didn't believe in any of it at all, it's to me, it's still something that it's like watching a horror movie. It's still these fun things that are interesting to learn about.
Definitely. It's a point of
Yeah.
interest and it keeps
Yep.
you engaged. So you've said now, I've asked you the question about the rubes, as I call them. So
Mm-hmm.
you believe, as I do, that we're manifesting what we believe, or we're getting out what we're putting back for the most part.
Yeah.
So I, being a huge proponent of lesser magic as defined by Anton LaVey, I think that's a really great application of lesser magic and shouldn't be discounted at all, manifesting what we believe. Now, what about you? Have you got any examples of making things happen using your own lesser magic to great success in terms of how you've been able to apply it?
When I first went to New York, I would have people say, "Oh, you're so lucky that you get to do these things. You're so lucky that you get to meet these people or hang out with these people or go to these events." And my reaction and comments back was always, "It's not luck. I did all these things with the intentions of getting there. I wanted this to happen, so I put forth everything I could do to make these things happen for me. It wasn't just some draw of the luck that I happened to meet these people or be on this podcast. I put forth the energy. I put forth the time to get there.
So just the way you live in general, I think it
Yeah,
almost sounds like you're living your own lesser magic every single day.
that's honestly the way I would describe it. I do everything for me. Well, me and my family. It's if I don't want to do anything, I don't have to do anything. If I want something to happen, I know I've got to put forth the effort. At first, it was really, really difficult because I work for myself. I don't get the luxury of having somebody say, "Okay, I want you here at 9. You have to do this job. You're out at 5, and you get paid on every other Friday. And this is how much you make." Would that be nice? Yeah, there's times I think it would because I have to find the jobs. I have to do everything for myself in order to make any money. And if I don't have all my ducks in a row and I don't do everything a certain way, it doesn't happen.
All right. So, as I talked about in the essay at the top of the show, just because I don't believe in the Haunted Museum doesn't mean I didn't respect the artifacts in it. We talked a little bit about that earlier. So, when you're talking about what you believe with others, do you find they extend you the courtesy of respect, or do they just tell you you're full of it because they don't believe what you do?
I 100% believe in aliens. 100%.
You're full of it.
Yeah.
Just to play the
I'm
devil's
so
advocate,
full of
you're
it.
full of it.
Yeah. I do not believe in Bigfoot at all.
Okay, let's do the
Now,
aliens. Let's do the aliens thing first, And I should have
Okay.
had Ms. Wiz here as a panel guest because, you mentioned one thing about the grays and she turns whiter than she already is, and it's actually quite entertaining. So, okay, so aliens. Now she's a
Mhm.
big believer in aliens. We talked a
Yep.
little bit earlier about the area of Canada that we live in and some of
Yep.
the occurrences that have happened here. She swears when we've been in that area, it's happened to her. So go ahead, sell me the aliens.
It has just been something that has always fascinated me. I don't know what it is about it. I look at it like this. The world, the universe, everything is so big. There's so much that we don't know out there. To me, I think it would be ignorant to believe that we are the only things in this entire existence, universe, solar system, everywhere, because there's multiple solar system universes, all of that. It's so vast that
That I agree with. Yes.
we can't be the only thing out there. I don't have any experiences as far as, I've never seen an alien. I've seen things in the sky that move like you would think a UFO moves. There's been no evidence that it's a UFO or a plane or a drone or anything that I've looked at. So I can't say one way or the other what it is, but it always comes back to me like we are so small compared to how big everything is. There has to be something out there. And maybe it's just because I am such a fan of sci-fi and horror that I like that feeling of going, wow, we are really small. It just has me thinking that there's something else out there.
Okay, so why are they so interested in us? And why are they so interested in the anal probe? And why in specific areas of the country is this always a thing? Now, please, Mr. Midnight Signal, enlighten us.
I've said it on Midnight Signal and I'll say it again. I personally do not believe that they are coming and probing people. To me, to me, that's just funny. It's ridiculous. Now, I'm not going to discount any experiences anybody else thinks that they've had. But to me, if this is some advanced civilization that can travel from wherever the hell they're at and make it here and fly around, do all the things, they already are advanced enough that why the hell would they even stick something up your butt? What are they going to get from that? I like a lot of theories, but one is they're fascinated by us because we're different. Also, that like we're just an experiment to see, okay, well, what are they going to do today? What wars are going to happen? Who's going to kill who? What's going to happen here? Things like that. I really don't have an explanation for why I believe other than what I already said. It's just something that's fascinated me for years, that it's just so much fun to read about all these stories because it's been around for so long.
I knew we could have fun with that question. That's
Oh yeah.
why
Oh yeah.
that's why I threw it at you. And
Oh, I'm glad you did.
And you know what?
And
Power to you for actually believing that. And again, if that's what makes you happy, great.
right.
I think I'm more of the natural skeptic where it would be ignorant to say that we're the only things going. I think that's ignorant to think so
Yeah.
highly of ourselves that we're the only, and at this point, highly questionably intelligent life in the universe. I'm not saying there is, I'm not saying there isn't. I'm saying I haven't seen it yet, so who knows? It's like everything else, the things
Right.
we know and the things we're not supposed to know. And so now, Ms. Wiz was a huge fan of yours until about 5 minutes ago when you discounted the existence of Bigfoot. So, no Bigfoot? And anything you
No.
say will be a soundbite for coming up for this show.
Yeah, well, I figured something like that was coming. No, I've never believed in Bigfoot. Again, now, so this does sound kind of controversial, but I did say it on Midnight Signal when we had Jay on, who's like the resident Bigfoot expert. I've never believed in Bigfoot because I haven't seen anything that proves to me that there would be, the existence of Bigfoot. And I say that while knowing that I've also not seen any hardcore evidence of the existence of aliens and UFOs. But I do believe in that. Here I am telling somebody that no, Bigfoot's not real, and they're telling me, well, dude, no, you're full of shit. Aliens aren't real. So I get how they kind of go against each other. Honestly, I think I've never had any interest in Bigfoot. There's nothing about it that fascinates me. I think that if there was Bigfoot, somebody would have hunted him down by now.
I think that's kind of where I was going with it too. And it makes sense, in that context that you would believe in aliens, but not necessarily Bigfoot, because I think the possibility of Bigfoot is more tangible for us. on this planet to say, I think we have the technology to actually find a Bigfoot if we wanted to. There's
Right.
infrared, there's heat sensitive cameras, there's satellites that can catch a fly shit in Alabama. I mean, like
Right.
the possibility exists that we could actually see that, and we haven't yet, much like
Yeah.
any of the other myths, the Loch Ness monster, whatever. Aliens, who knows, right? I'm more
Right.
willing to chalk up a who knows to the alien theory than I am
Mhm.
to the Bigfoot theory. And Ms. Wiz is all about the Bigfoot. And I,
So so you're not about Bigfoot, but she is.
yes,
Yeah.
100%. And it makes for some interesting conversations, especially
Yeah.
after a few rusty nails. That's for sure.
Yeah. The only theory that I have ever heard, more conspiracy theory, which I love conspiracy theories, don't buy them at all, but it's just interesting what the human mind comes up with. I don't know where I heard it, but the guy had said whenever people see a Bigfoot, it's always in conjunction with a UFO. And the aliens are basically bringing Bigfoot down here and putting them on Earth and saying, this is a prison. And so they wander around here like, oh shit, I'm in prison. And then when you see a UFO again in that area, they're picking up Bigfoot and saying, okay, you serve your time, go back to where you're from. And that was the only thing that I ever thought, okay, well, I don't believe it, but it would make the most sense to me as to why we wouldn't see one.
That's a first for me, and I can't wait for Ms. Wiz to hear that theory. I think
I
it'll
don't.
knit her whole universe together.
It was. I wish I knew who said it. It was the weirdest thing I had ever heard, but I was like, okay, well, that was pretty cool to hear. But I've never believed in Bigfoot. I've watched a few Bigfoot movies that have been okay to watch, but it's never clicked with me. It just, with how gun happy we are here in the States and how many hunters are here in the States,
Yes.
somebody would have found that. Somebody would have caught him and said, all right, you're coming with me.
As far as I believe in Bigfoot, I'm giving away my age here, but the $6 million man used to fight the Sasquatch on TV. That's about as close as I got right there. That was Bigfoot
Yep.
to me, Andre the Giant. You know,
Yep.
but yeah, I'm
I
really
mean,
looking forward to Ms.
yeah.
Wiz hearing that theory.
I'm looking forward to a message going, why the hell don't you believe in Bigfoot?
What is wrong with you? Yeah,
Yeah.
I know it's coming.
It's oh yeah. And that's fine. It's just something that it's never clicked with me. No real rhyme or reason other than I just wholeheartedly believe somebody would have found them by now. And I also look at it like these things were real, they have to breed. So they would start growing exponentially. We'd see more of them. So, I mean, if they are a humanoid, then they're like any other humanoid, and sex is a big thing. They're going to want to reproduce. So it's never clicked with me.
Love it. And
Yeah.
definitely, if anybody listening is interested in aliens, Bigfoot, things like that, the Midnight Signal podcast is definitely the go-to for that kind of information. And
Yep.
what about your other projects? Where can we find the Midnight Signal? Where can we find Skogan? Have you got anything else coming up? You seem to be getting really busy these days. Would love to hear about some of your projects.
Yeah. Busy, yes. Nothing new outside of doing Midnight Signal and Skogan. Honestly, most of my time is wrapped up in that. Most of my free time. Midnight Signal is on YouTube at Midnight Signal Podcast. We do have a Facebook page and an Instagram page, but we haven't been posting on there lately. So the best place is YouTube. We do it every Friday at 4 p.m. my time. So that's 6 p.m. Eastern time on Fridays. You'll see us live on YouTube. It's every single Friday we do it. As far as Skogan, there is no set time as to when we do it. It's because of the time difference and both of our schedules. It's when we get an hour free that we can record, we record. You can find us on Podbean or Spotify, and it's on Apple Podcast as well. And then there is an Instagram page for that one as well. So,
Okay. So now we
and
know where we can find you. And of
yep,
course, you're on social media. So if somebody wants to get a hold of you,
yep.
and you've sparked my interest in more than one different topic here. And I think, you know what, the subject of photography needs to be discussed more at length. And I think I would love
Yep,
to have you back on the show to talk about photography and what we call the command to look in lesser magic.
yep.
As a photographer, I know you're going to have a keen eye for the things that Mortensen, the author of that book, and Magus LeVay keyed in on when talking about lesser magic. So let's keep the lines open to have you come back and have another talk with us.
Yeah. I would absolutely love to. This has been a lot of fun.
Perfect. An absolute pleasure to have you on, Alien Mike. And
Yep. Thank you.
I'll be tuning in to the Midnight Signal and to Skogan, as
Yep.
I'm a fan of both shows. And until the
Appreciate it.
next time we get to talk, hail Satan.
Hail Satan.
And that's going to wrap it up for this episode of the Neutral Wisdom Podcast. I'd like to thank all of you for listening, and a huge thank you to our guest for being here today. For questions or comments, you can email me directly at information@neutralwisdom.ca. You can listen to us anywhere you get your podcasts, and the like and subscribe go a long way in pushing this podcast out. Don't forget to check out my books, Neutral Wisdom and Hell Has Windows, available now on Amazon.com. Check me out on Facebook under Robert Shirley, and check out Instagram at neutral_wisdom. And be sure to visit the website at neutralwisdom.ca. Until next time, ever forward.
You have been listening to the Neutral Wisdom Podcast. For more information, email us at information@neutralwisdom.ca, Facebook under Robert Shirley, or Instagram at neutral_wisdom. Also, check out our website at neutralwisdom.ca. Program copyrighted 2026, Devilish Gentleman Enterprises.